and welcome to this week's edition of the TV Rundown, a TV news web series that may feel slightly rushed this week because the host would, quite frankly, much rather be binge-watching Marvel's Daredevil series than making this video. Actually, I'm not sure that's fair. I'm not sure rushed is the right word, let's just call this a speed round. And go! This week in TV, Netflix confirmed House of Cards has been renewed for a fourth season, news so predictable it induced mass deja vu for those who believed it was such a given that they could have sworn it had already been announced. When asked to comment on the renewal, Netflix CEO Reed Hastings was quoted as saying, "Well, duh." Simpsons showrunner Al Jean took to Twitter this week to confirm that they would no longer be producing DVD box sets for the animated comedy. In one tweet responding to a question, he went as far as to describe the DVD market as dying. Considering The Simpsons' massive push into a digital back catalogue last year, it's not the most surprising news, but with such a big show stepping away from physical media, it may be the first sign of an oncoming trend. In unrelated news, the CEO of HMV just felt a disturbance in the force, as if thousands of stores cried out in terror and then were suddenly silenced by the company going into administration. And speaking of beating a dead horse, this week it was reported that ABC ordered a pilot presentation for a revival of The Muppets show. Very little is known about the project at this time, but I'm sorry. I just can't do it, okay? I can't be cynical about The Muppets. Why? Because it's the Muppets. Cynicism dissolves in a solution of Muppets. I mean, that's just science, okay? The two things simply do not belong in the same sentence. Well, unless you're explaining that they don't belong in the same sentence, then, that's fine. But I'm not going to do it. Next! This week, Fox renewed their Will Forte-led comedy Last Man on Earth for a second season. While its ratings haven't been staggering, this renewal doesn't come as much of a surprise because, well, one of Fox's new comedies had to make it out of this season alive, and it's not exactly going to be Weird Loners now, is it? Next! This week, Netflix announced a brand new sketch series titled With Bob and David. This 4-episode series will be written by Bob Odenkirk, David Cross, and many members of the original Mr. Show writing team. In related news, several members of Netflix's marketing department have reportedly had nervous breakdowns this week, trying to figure out a way to market a Mr. Show reunion without actually mentioning the words Mr. Show. Next! If you live in the UK and were struggling to figure out what channel broadcasts that successful American show Empire you keep hearing so much about, you may be relieved to find you're not as bad at navigating your TV's menus as you thought. The problem is that simply no broadcaster in this country bothered to pick up the monster hit before now. But this week, the UK's Channel 4 announced they have come to an agreement to air the drama on their E4 channel later this year. British viewers should expect to receive a box of chocolates and a note reading, "We're sorry we took so long," from Channel 4 once the show launches. This week, during a discussion of his much more successful shows, Brian Grazer gave comedy nerds palpitations when he quite casually became the first source to confirm that 17 more episodes of Arrested Development were in the works. Presumably these episodes are being developed over at Netflix like the last set, but as no other party has confirmed or announced such a thing yet, Grazer was either under the impression these have been announced already, or he just doesn't think announcing more Arrested Development is that big a deal. Either way, expect more nervous breakdowns from Netflix's marketing department this week, as they're forced to find an interesting way to announce the return of a show that's already sort of been confirmed. This week, David Lynch announced he was no longer involved in Showtime's upcoming revival of Twin Peaks, much to the surprise of Showtime, who were reportedly under the impression that discussions were still ongoing. It seems that they found out things had gone south the same way that everyone else did, via Twitter. They've since added that they're still very much interested in keeping Lynch on board and are reaching out for further discussions. So that's everything for this, remember to subscribe and oh, f*** it. See you in 2 weeks!